In 1606, 108 Englishmen set sail for the unknown. They dream of gold and other easy riches in a paradise across the Atlantic. Instead, they come face to face with a new world, as alien as another planet. In 4 months, more than half are dead.
People died like flies, and the paradise kind of turned to a nightmare.
This is the real story of the place where America was born. Hostile Indians, mysterious diseases, Spanish spies, hunger so extreme, some even turned to cannibalism. What really happened at Jamestown? What secrets are locked in these bones? How did a fragile outpost of Englishmen survive to plant the seed for a nation and change the face of the world? For centuries, the bodies lay forgotten in a swampy stretch of land near the Virginia coastline. Some buried helter-skelter, crammed into graves, obviously in haste. Historians long believed that much of this site had washed away into the James River, taking its secrets with it. But now, the ghosts of Jamestown are emerging, and they're rewriting the first chapters of American history.
The Jamestown story is not something that is all that comfortable to a lot of people, because there was a lot of death.
Bones that tell of murder, starvation, disease, and a mysterious hero who may be the founding father Americans have never known. This is all that remains of Jamestown, the place where America was born. But for archaeologists like Bill Kelso, it's a priceless window into a time and place obscured by legends.
It's hard to sort through what I think is the fog of the story of Jamestown. We know the story is richer than I think it's ever been considered before.
The early 17th century. The New World is mostly an unexplored wilderness, and Europe is drunk on dreams of gold. The reigning superpower is Spain, whose conquests in Mexico and South America have reaped astonishing riches.
The Spanish had been hauling gold back from the New World for over a century, and the crown there was just filthy rich.
Much of coastal South America is firmly under Spanish control, but many believe there's more gold waiting up north in the uncharted realm of the New World. England wants a piece of the action, and English investors take a daring gamble. They form a corporation called the Virginia Company. Its goal, find gold and a safe passage to the Orient through the vast wilderness known as Virginia. December 1606, 3 ships set sail from London. It's a treasure hunt that will go horribly wrong, and almost immediately, there's trouble. Windless seas turn a 3-month journey into 4. Crammed into the tiny ships are 108 men plus crew. Tempers flare. The men are deeply divided. Half are gentlemen who don't do hard labor. They look down on the commoners, the only ones with practical experience. It's a recipe for disaster.
There was a lot of bickering, a lot of political rivalry. It seems that big egos naturally flock to this type of activity.
The commoner who really gets the gentleman's blood boiling is John Smith, a soldier with attitude. A few weeks into sailing, he's in shackles, accused of mutiny. He starts a journal that will become history's primary source for the Jamestown story. He writes that the gentlemen are not nearly as prepared as he is for the hardships ahead.
John Smith is a little bit of a character that's hard to understand for me. And he always comes out the hero in his own movie.
Despite their differences, the men have similar expectations of what they'll find in the New World. Their greatest fear is the Spanish fleet. It doesn't faze them that 2 earlier attempts to plant a colony in Virginia have failed, and that the last one mysteriously disappeared. A lost colony. Their heads are filled with dangerous illusions. They're convinced they'll find treasure to enrich themselves and their investors. The noble savages will feed them in exchange for trinkets. And if the savages get out of hand, their muskets and cannon will scare them off. They have complete faith in the superiority of their technology and their culture. But what they don't know will kill them. Spain isn't the only empire in the neighborhood. At least 13,000 Native Americans live near the target landing site. Most are united under a great chief called Powhatan. He's just heard a disturbing prophecy that a nation will rise from the Chesapeake Bay and overcome his empire. He's already massacred a rival tribe to defy the prophecy. And now, a strange tribe of white men is about to invade his realm. For the men nearing the Virginia coast, the nightmare is about to begin. Jamestown, Virginia is one of the richest archaeological sites in the United States. It's been owned and preserved since 1893 by APVA Preservation Virginia, which administers the archaeology. Almost 1 million objects have been unearthed here in the past dozen years. To Beverly Straub, the site's curator, these relics reveal the real story of what happened at Jamestown.
I think we have to look at what we've been finding as almost like another hidden book that has been hidden away for almost 400 years. Our little colony has now come back to life through the material record.
During Jamestown's darkest days, 155 of 215 settlers would die. A death rate of 70%. The details of the disaster are only now coming to light. April 1607. The colonists land in the New World in springtime. The wilderness is in full bloom. We could find nothing but fair meadows and tall trees, writes one colonist. It's a relief from the cramped quarters of the ships. At first, they're sure they've found paradise. They settle on a deserted stretch of land along the James River in Virginia. It's a strategic decision, far enough upriver to protect against prowling Spanish ships along the coast. But their fear of the Spaniards is blinding them to another enemy that surrounds them on every side. As spring turns to summer, the heat sets in. The Virginia Company expects them to find gold quickly. But their pans keep coming up empty. And it's tedious, backbreaking work in the searing sun. The humidity is even worse to Englishmen in wool clothes and body armor. Their paradise has become an unhealthy swamp with no fresh water, buzzing with strange insects. But that isn't the worst of it. They've expected the Indians to welcome their arrival. They've left most of their guns and packing cases to present a friendly image. They're counting on the natives to supply them with food. They're in for a rude awakening. Suddenly, one of their most basic beliefs is shaken to the core. The colonists are proud of their advanced weaponry. Their steel armor weighs only 24 pounds, much lighter than full body armor. Their helmets have sharp ridges to repel blows. Their swords are designed with hilts to protect the hand. Their matchlock muskets carry a lit fuse to fire instantly. They're armed to fight the enemy they expected, the Spaniards. But the Indians are unlike any enemy they've ever seen. Their bodies are painted to intimidate. They practice guerrilla warfare, blending into the wilderness. Their bows and arrows are light, portable, and extremely accurate. In the hands of an experienced archer, an arrow is deadly at 40 yards. And an Indian can fire up to 10 arrows in the 30 seconds it takes to reload a musket. In the New World, the Indians hold the upper hand. In their first month at Jamestown, Indian arrows pick off several men. The death toll will continue to mount. And suddenly, paradise has taken on an evil cast. The wilderness has eyes. Danger lurks behind every tree. The air is heavy with the threat of death. Every step away from camp could be their last.